get rid of us. Yep, here we are again. The closed fist. I'm Russ. I'm Russ. Will. Joey Fingers, they're over there on the end.
Spirit Fingers. Spirit Squad.
Joey Spirit Fingers.
Spirit Squad.
Spirit Squad.
That's who you should dress up as for Halloween.
We could all do it.
Spirit Squad.
Yes.
Sorry.
That is awesome right there. Okay, we had an interesting poll question on our Twitter feed. If you care to follow us on Twitter, just follow us at The Closed Fist. I'm just saying. We had an interesting poll question. Why do you subscribe to the WWE Network? Answers, the choices that we had were current pay-per-views and shows, vintage wrestling and pay-per-views, or NXT.
I'm very upset my choice was not up there.
Okay.
Which was?
More Liv Morgan.
Oh, we need ice.
Love you.
Yeah, we're gonna hose you down.
Yeah, seriously.
But you know, and
If
the
it was
result.
Mandy Rose, then I would maybe agree with you. Yeah. No, we're not going to get into this again.
I would find a way to work.
I'm sorry,
with
blue tongues are sexy.
Okay, now.
Hashtag blue tongue.
Okay, now the results were kind of surprising, maybe, I don't know. The current pay-per-views and shows finished off at 35%. The vintage wrestling and pay-per-views finished off at 28%. And the NXT came in first at 37%.
Yeah, because NXT is better than Raw and SmackDown right now.
Yeah. I mean,
and did I mention all their titles are actually on the show?
Yep. Aleister Black ripping it up there.
Love it. Except when he misses Black Mass by a mile.
Wow, did you see that?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
my goodness.
You
Sorry.
left up.
Sorry.
You know what? I'll just say this. That is such a timing move that if you're off, it looks horrible. That was horrible.
So it kind of looked like Kelly Kelly's.
Yep.
Yeah, worse.
I missed it. I'm sorry.
But what do you? How do you feel about those results?
Well, I voted.
I think I know where you voted, but go ahead.
I'd be curious to see what you thought. I think it's all
right.
I think it's all kind of in one because, at least for me, I watch for NXT. The majority of the things I watch are the classic stuff because you can't find that anymore.
Right.
And the pay-per-views, of course, they're on the network, so we have to watch.
I do like some of the shows too, like the what is it, Dinner for Three or whatever the hell it is.
Right.
I've watched a couple of those.
No, those are kind of cool. It's cool to see the wrestling world from that perspective.
I love watching the old pay-per-views. I mean, the old ones, like Judgment Days and Vengeance and all that
WCW.
stuff.
Oh, I'll go back to
WCW, yeah.
Oh, I'll go back to Starrcade. Or stuff like
of course,
that.
of course.
You know,
War
all that
Games
stuff.
and all those.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of. It's kind of hard for me because you know what, I started watching like the vintage stuff and. The older stuff. I mean, stuff that we grew up as a kid watching. You know, it's kind of cool to rewatch it. You know,
also great to see when wrestling was good.
When wrestling was good, exactly.
When the Road Warriors were on, I know.
But then they put Jesus.
Attitude Era.
Yeah.
Demolition, greatest tag team of all time. But then I started to watch like NXT, and I'm like, okay.
NXT is probably the closest thing to the old school that there is right now.
My only thing with NXT, the show itself, not the pay-per-views, but the takeovers, but the show itself, it's a lot of segments and a lot of commercials. I mean, like Raw is as well, but for only an hour of programming, you have a lot of vignettes in there.
Well,
and maybe like two
a lot
matches.
of characters you got to build is the problem.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing is they're building those characters.
Oh, I get it, but
But I mean, I think one question is what's driving the network?
Pay-per-views.
Do you think it's the pay-per-views?
I mean, at the end of the
have
day,
to be.
Yeah. I mean, because
for $9.99 a month, instead of paying what was it, $75, $80, $90 pop for a pay-per-view.
Yep.
For $9 a month, you can't beat it.
But you know what though? I mean,
Even if you're only there for WrestleMania and SummerSlam and the Rumble.
I have to admit though that being able the majority of the time that I'm on the network is watching the vintage stuff. I mean,
and you can't watch porn on there, Russ.
And you sure?
I'm sure you found a way.
But now here's another aspect of this with NXT going over to Fox Sports 1
Oh, here we go.
next year, does that hurt the network?
A bit, yeah.
You think?
Yeah, of course.
You know,
But it helps
But that,
the WWE because they're going to be making money off of their sponsorships and all that stuff.
yeah.
but again, by them feeling taking the fact that they can move that show to Fox Sport to FS1, maybe it kind of goes to show us that pay-per-views is the main draw and the classic stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, does
It also goes to show that that show is getting enough buzz that it can actually be put on regular television, not
too.
just through the network.
right?
It's getting enough buzz. It's
Actually,
creating stars.
I think 205 Live is the actual driver for
I
the
hate that show
network.
with every ounce of my soul.
I will say this about
women need their own
205
show.
Live. I will say this about 205 Live. I
That it was
think
stupid?
that show has improved greatly, and why?
Why does it look like you're reading
Because
a
Triple
prepared
H is
statement?
running it.
Wasn't he running it before or no?
No, pretty much Vince has given him 205 Live. Now, some of the comments that we had on that Twitter question was at Kyle Jackson _ WWE said, "I never touched the NXT section on the network."
Doesn't know what he's missing.
That's what I'm saying.
Honestly.
That's what I'm saying. And then we went back and forth a little bit, and he's pretty much against NXT. And then Jeremy, who goes by at Cavs Nation 16, Mr. Nick fan. I subscribe to the WWE Network for all current pay-per-views, vintage pay-per-views, and NXT. Not much of a fan to most of their shows, but some absolutely I'll watch. I guess Bruce Pritchard has a show, and
His podcast.
his podcast on there. And hey, it's Conrad. I don't know what that is, but
No, like I said, man, it's kind of we all. I mean, what's the driver for it? I'm imagining it's pay-per-views, but we all have them. We watch a little bit of NXT, a little bit of the vintage stuff, you know. So
I mean, and there were a couple that said that it's all three.
Yeah.
But I just think is the bubble gonna burst
on what? On the network?
On the network.
No.
They're making money, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because guys like us will always have the network.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's a niche. It's just like wrestling business in general. It's a niche market, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, and all those kids that grew up in that Attitude Era that are older now, that have the money, their own credit cards or PlayStations, whatever they watch it on, they're going to be part of that.
I think you should get a tattoo that says Attitude Era.
I mean,
Right on my asshole.
On the hole itself.
on the hole,
Jesus.
yeah.
Hey, now.
Holy cow.
But here again, I think we're talking about them living in the past. We say that WWE.
Yeah, because the current blows.
We say that the WWE lives in the past. Are a lot of fans living in the past?
Yes.
Me.
Yeah.
Ding,
Yeah.
ding.
We're all waiting for that
Ding,
prestige
ding.
to come back.
Worldwide.
We're waiting for that.
But
We know it's never going to happen.
But yeah, I mean, but have fans come to grips with what the current state of?
No, I mean, they're
Of
sitting there
that-
angry
of
like us.
wrestling is.
They're angry like us. We're all waiting for another golden age of wrestling. We're all waiting for that.
Chop it at the bit, man. Fucking, we're sitting
Well, but
here
you know
like-
what though? But I think that's where the other organizations come into play.
Indy Russ is in the house.
But we can't be mad.
No, it's true. He's 100%.
Can't be mad at him.
I like calling Russ names. I'm sorry.
We like to bust his balls, but
it's true.
It's true. Like
I mean, again, look
I
at
said-
what the Young Guns and
That would be the Young Bucks. By the
Young
way.
Bucks. Sorry, Young Guns. Sorry, it's one of those days. It's Saturday morning. But I mean, and Cody Rhodes. Look at what they're doing.
Oh, that's
I mean,
exactly.
You
yeah.
can't take that away from them.
Oh yeah.
But that's. I think that if the WWE was still, if this was still the Attitude Era, you wouldn't have what you have on the indie scene right now. But the fact that that is long gone, and wrestling fans are sitting there waiting. Okay, they're waiting for the next great thing to come on WWE television, and it just hasn't. It just hasn't happened yet. And they look elsewhere. Hey, look, Ring of Honor.
Okay.
Oh wow, they have some good stuff there.
Because it's original.
Before I forget, Look at the production of Ring of Honor. It's fairly solid on the television.
I mean, it's not bad. Yeah.
Okay, so they're an indie, correct?
No,
They're not.
They're not. They are not considered an independent anymore.
I was gonna say, because look at that crappy ass ECW that we all loved, and their television production.
ECW.
Holy cow!
ECW.
You want to talk about an indie? It wasn't an indie, but was it?
technically it kinda
You know? And they were highly integral part of the Monday Night Wars and the wrestling wars in that time in general. So, you know, like
They were that like
it's good for business.
yeah, they were that stepchild off.
What's going on now is good for business.
Background.
You know, New Japan, Ring of Honor, the All In show. You know, speaking of all these things, I just thought of it now. What is the name of the company that Vince is teaming up with from Japan? Do we know that name of that company?
Oh, it's
I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Pro Wrestling Noah.
Noah. Okay.
Right. So now there's probably more stuff that's going to be added to the network, coming from Pro Wrestling Noah.
Okay.
And they're going to use that as an extension of the WWE brand.
And
so it's going to be like WWE Japan.
Is Hideo Itami going to be like their flag? They're not flagship.
Well, that's where that's where he came from.
Yeah, and that's where he went back. He just went back or whatever.
Yeah. He made an appearance. So
there too.
So they have like a working relationship with Pro Wrestling Noah, Evolve. Pro Wrestling. Those are two right off the top of my head, and I think they have a working relationship with a women's organization as well. But it's but you know but it's like more material coming to the network. And I think that's a good thing, and I think that's a great thing. I just find it interesting that you have fans that are like, well, I only watch like the Attitude Era stuff. I only watch you know, this
golden era.
Yeah, the golden era. But it's I mean, and I don't hear much of anybody going back and rewatching like stuff from like the last 5 years.
Because nobody likes Cena.
Yeah, I mean, but, you know, so
nobody likes Roman Reigns.
It's really nice. So it's really not about like the WWE living in the past. The fans are living in the past too.
Yeah.
We're all waiting for like the next big thing. The next big thing hasn't come. So what do? We look elsewhere. You know, and there's a lot of good stuff out there, but does it have staying power? That's a whole nother story.
True.
You know,
well, I mean, I hate to keep bringing him up, but Cena was champ for a long time. He was the top guy for 10 years. Mm-hmm. Whether you like him or not, I'm not taking this thing.
Here's the thing.
Top guy sold more merch than anybody.
WWE always had a guy to fill that role.
And right now they don't.
And they don't.
They don't. And I think that's where the Brock Lesnar thing comes into play.
Oh, yeah.
Now we're seeing it full bore.
Oh, yeah. This is what happens when you don't have anybody to turn to.
You know, and now it's like,
save the day.
And here's another thing. And I'm really curious to know this. Have subscriptions dipped because of it, or maybe stagnant? Because that's something that I would like to know. But you know,
I think that's another niche market thing. I think that's why they're going to Saudi Arabia and to Japan, or where are they going next? Australia in September or whatever. You know, they're doing these other things to get more people to get the network.
They're opening it up
because I think they'll always get new subscribers from like younger kids who are coming up watching wrestling, and then when they get their own money, not their parents' money, whatever, you know, they'll be consistent. But I think they've tapped the market here a little bit.
And the thing too is $10 is very affordable. That's your allowance money. That's your allowance money.
It's not bad.
That's your paper route money. You could afford that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
on a side note, can I pose the question for the next Twitter poll?
Ooh.
This just popped in my head. Do you think that the women deserve a show like 205 Live? There's enough of them out there, and they're not getting enough airtime for the storylines.
I tell you, we will make that a poll question on our Twitter feed. So be sure to follow us on Twitter at The Closed Fist.
And also, if you like what we're doing, click the link down below. Hit subscribe if you like The Closed Fist.
And also, of course, don't forget our Facebook page. And on another side note, R.I.P. Big Vader.
Yeah.
Oh, Van Vader. Rest in peace, pal.
Rest in power, my friend.
Yes, sir.